Hi everyone. So I'm just going to show just a very, I hope that it will be short, a simple way of displaying your portfolio on the web. Some time ago I posted some advice on LinkedIn, and then I got a lot of messages about how to make a portfolio, or how to, for example, publish that on the web so that you could put a link to that in your CV for recruiters. It's important that your CVs are always not enough. At some point, you need to show exactly what you have done, and then recruiters can interactively view this project. So that is why I decided to make this video to just help you. I'm not going to teach you HTML or CSS or JavaScript because it's not also everything that I understand, but I will just help you to understand the structure of the code and how to edit it for your own use. There are a lot of templates out there which you can edit, but I found this one to be quite useful. The site is html5app.net. I will put the link in the description. They have a lot of templates. So for example, this one is called Paradigm Shift. I'm not sure why, but you can download it as a zip file and then you can extract. This is also another template. This is how it looks like. This is also a tutorial you can download. So for example, let's try to download this. It will ask you for some stuff. If you are not interested in what they do, don't subscribe. But if you are, then you can put in your info. What you can do is you just save it somewhere in a download file, a downloaded folder, and then you just navigate to the place and you say extract all. So if you extract, then you will see some components or folder component. This is the index.html. So this one will tell or will help you display whatever information you have in to the web. It also have some assets. Normally it's composed of the CSS, the styling, the JavaScript, the web fonts, and then so these are mostly front-end stuff. You also have your photos in here, which you can also just put in a function or just a source directory to just pick and display these images to your web. So that is it. I am using this one. I use this one. You can also try to see which one of them you want or which one of them looks pretty for you. This one looks quite pretty, but you need to be careful depending on your profession. Yeah, if I hope that most geospatial analysts will be watching this. I'm not sure if this will be a good demonstration of your portfolio, but you decide. But I'm using this one. And once you download it, you have to, it's mostly efficient to download or to edit this with a VS Code, with an IDE environment to help you edit, publish your codes to any platform that you want. So I use this, but of course, you can use other IDEs of your choice. The next thing that you can do after this is to just, open the folder. So for example, if you want to open this one, you just click on this, you select. If it's your first time, it's going to ask you if you trust the folder. If you don't trust it, then don't open it. If you trust, you just say, I trust it. The next thing is to install an extension. This extension will, I think it's called Live Server. There's also a number of these servers. You just have to install it. This will help you to see exactly what you are editing, to see if you like to see what is displaying at its current state. So whatever you are typing or whatever you are editing will be, I can show you an example of this. For example, this says massively by something. I can say Desmond or something. Okay, let me just bring it back and let me use the show preview first. So it is still showing okay, let me use this one. So this is massively over here, but once I change it like this to my name, you see that it will be just what do you call it, updating by itself in real time. So this extension is mostly very handy to do some live web editing. So I'll bring it back to where it is. What I'm going to do now is to also explain just a little bit. Like I said, if it's your first time looking at this script, it's not possible to at once understand everything that is going on here. But for example, like I said, this one, you can change it, or if you want to, I don't think it's handy for you to maintain this in your personal portfolio, but of course you can give credit. I think there is a copyright something here, so yeah, you can leave this there so that people can refer to the original source. So once you edit this part, if you want, you don't have to edit anything here, because this part is just helping you to call this main.css file, which is stored somewhere in the asset folder that I showed before. So I'm using this. So if you have this asset, then you have this CSS file. So meaning that there are some component or classes or objects stored in this CSS file, which will be later be used in this particular script. So please don't change anything here. Then when you come to this part, like I said, you can change it to your name. This is Desmond, or this is your name. And then you can give a very short description about the portfolio and what people can expect looking at your portfolio. It's good to note that this is this will be a main header, so obviously bigger than you have in H2. This will be a smaller header. And what you need to note is that make sure that for every script, if you are declaring something, you have to ensure that you are also closing it like this. So this is the opening and this is the closing, and they are always not the same. I think you can also see the differences. We can move on to yeah, this is still the first header, so let me just put the show preview. So in the show preview, this one will come this one will come as your first project. So you can put the first project here, maybe a project on Flatbricks management. This is going to appear first. Let me put this. Yeah, and you can also declare some navigation here. Actually, when you download this particular template, it comes with two extra page. One is called generic, the other is called element. You can change this here and make sure that you change it also in the source code. So I can also show you that here. So this element generic, you can also update it later on, but I wouldn't want to go more in depth on what is there. But if you see what I made here, I will just, yeah. So this was the element, this was generic, this was element, and I tried to also edit it a little bit to show exactly what my area of expertise are. And then this one too, you can edit it a little bit. The element yeah, just stuff about your certificate, accomplishments, and then you try to put some links as references. If you have some maps, you can update them in there as well. So this is it. If you want to maintain it, please don't also change this. But if you don't want this to be there, you can just comment it and then it will just disappear. If for example you open this in a main web viewer, you wouldn't see this TV button there. There are these two extra pages. So I'll bring it back. So once you are done, you can also declare a main. So this particular main thing just help you to put in all items you would like to put in your portfolio together. And inside the main, you can have, for example, different articles. But here you could see that they have just one article here, and this article is this. So if your second project started in November of a certain year, you can just put it there, November 2018, and then you can say this is let's say this is a project on land use change. So you just put this there. So always make sure that inside your article, of course, you have an header, and the header is closing at some point. Inside your header, you have your title as well as the paragraph text, and make sure that every time you are editing this part, you are also closing it over here. And like I said, you should always take note of the opening and then the closing of each item you would like to modify. I can understand that if you are doing just copy paste, sometimes for example, okay, this is actually the same, so it doesn't make sense. But if you are copying pasting, just make sure that you are not removing these openings again, especially if you don't know how to write codes in HTML. It also has some references. You can put an image or a link to the project that you did. For example, if you publish a paper, you can put the reference here. If you also have an image, like I mentioned before, you could see that this is an image here, and inside the image it has pick 01 to pick 09, and whatever image you would like to show over here as this particular one, make sure that you specify it. If you want 2 to show, you just change it as 2. If you want 3, you just change it as 3. So you can already see that this is very easy to modify a script, and of course you make sure that you are also closing the article here. So keep in mind that every div you declare, it should have a container variable, which is the article. Inside the article, you should declare your headers, your reference. You should also have your paragraphs and the source references that you have. And once you have the first one, you just have to declare this particular one. For example, if you want it to continue on side by side, then you need to declare this section right beneath the article so that it follows it that way. So here basically you are just declaring a section container, and you are calling a class that is called post. So this is a CSS class which is stored, I think, in a CSS file. Let me see. So it's an asset CSS, and then in the main file you can see that these class objects are being declared here. So what we are doing there is to basically just call this particular class so that whatever we want to show here will be displayed on the web with features from these class object. So we use the same principle over here. We declare, we write the text we want to show here. We make sure that we have the paragraph closed, and the same way. So once you have this section, make sure that all the articles will fall inside the section so that it follows in that way. If you don't put the articles under the main section, then you will have it in vertical like this and not side by side. So please take note of that. So what again should you note? Yeah, so like I said, once you declare the first article and you are okay with it, you just copy paste, or you just copy it like this, and then you paste it. Yes, you paste it here. So once you copy this, the end and then the beginning, then you also paste it from the end to the from the beginning to the end. And always make sure that they are following in that order. Sometimes the indentation can be a little bit tricky, so make sure that if you are copying pasting, it is just right beneath the article, as well as beneath the section that you already declared here. Yeah, and it also goes like that. If you have a reference, just put the link. If you want to put an image, just put an image there, and that is it. In the footer here, it also declares a class like this. So if you go to the main file or something else, you will still see the variables on how it should behave. And I think the footer is over here, telling you about the next pages from page 1 to 10. There is also another footer about name, email, messages. At the moment, this doesn't work pretty well, but you can experiment it to see if it's working good from your side. You can also edit your address over here, and then yeah, if you have Twitter account, Facebook, Instagram, GitHub, you can just update them here. If you want to add more, you are still allowed. You can just add one more over here, and then you can just paste it here, and you see that this doubled by itself. If you don't want a GitHub, you can just change it to something else, and then you put your copyright. That is if you want it to show. I think it's this one. And then you see that in the beginning we declare this as HTML, and then we are also closing it here like that. So make sure that all the codes that you are copying, pasting, and editing falls within this. It should also fall within, like I said, in your article container. And if you want it to be side by side, then you need to declare this section so that all your articles falls within that particular. So you see that the header, this article is falling within this article, so it's going to continue on side by side. But if you bring it here, for example, like this, then it's going to behave differently. Let's see. It didn't cause any issue, but just be mindful of that little indentation, I would say. So that is it. There is also some other templates. I will post all these templates. It follows the same logic. I saw this one also from another geospatial engineer who also edited this particular template from this website. So it follows the same logic. You just have to put your name somewhere. It has a CSL file. Make sure, or style sheet, make sure you are not changing these references. This style main.csl, make sure you're also not changing them. It also has a navigation panel. So I think this home project skills education should be somewhat. This is a little bit different from what I showed you before. But I need to close this. So you can just show this here. Yeah, so you can see how this particular template uses the navigation just at the bottom. So it takes you to contacts, education, skills, project, and then the home key. But again, yeah, like I said, it follows the same principle. You should always have your header. If you want it to be header 2, and not so big as high it is this one or your name, then you just change it to header 2, and you make sure that when you're closing it, it's also the same. If you are editing the paragraph text, you also make sure that you are also closing it very well over here. It follows the same. I personally don't like the look of this, but it looks fancy, it looks nice. So I will also add the link or the template, so that if you prefer this, you can also edit it. I think it's also possible to put an href, which takes you, when you, for example, click on this, it should take you to a different website, maybe information about the analysis results or the source code. Yeah, this looks okay, but I personally don't prefer it, but you are allowed to choose any of your preference. There is also one last one that I wanted to show you. That also looks fancy. You can also use it, maybe let's show it in a bigger size. Yeah, you can edit this one. Instead of paradigm shift, you can put down your name, add a short description over here, and then all your projects. Project 1 can have an image source, project 2 can also be there, and so on and so forth. I think what you have to do more in this one is not so much text, but the image with just a short description that when the user clicks on it, it takes them to somewhere for them to read more info about your project. So this also looks the same principle like I showed you. Make sure that this doesn't declare article, but it's the same thing. It's only use the header container. Each header has a title, the body, which is the paragraph. You make sure it is there. If you have a reference, please put the reference there. These are all templates. So you see that it's very easy, even if it's your first time looking at an HTML, JavaScript, or CSS code. The only thing is that you have to understand the basic principle of the code structure so that you can edit it, and that is also what you essentially do in programming. But this, you are not programming, you are just trying to edit this so you can publish your code, your portfolio. So I'll end up this part of the video here, and then the next one I will show you how to put this on the web, so you can get a URL and put that in your CV for people to access it remotely. And you make sure that whatever link you put in your CV, you maintain the same link. Even if you edit this, you just have to come here, just commit and then push it, and then you are good to go. People can immediately see your new edit, and this is also very handy so that you avoid the problem of always putting it new URL in your CV. So to publish this portfolio that you just edited with all your info and everything on the website, what we are going to do is to host it on GitHub, and then with the HTML file, it is possible to deploy this through GitHub, and then you'll be able to get a URL of that particular portfolio that you've made here. So the first thing is to create a repository. You can create a repository if I think that everybody who has GitHub knows, so I assume that you know, but I'm trying to create one here which I will call portfolio example. You make sure that it is public and not private. If it's private, then nobody will see your link when you publish it. You can add a readme file to it. If you don't want, you just ignore. Sometimes some repository needs template, but I'll just ignore this particular one. So I'll just create it here, and once you create it, it's going to be here. And the good practice is normally that you clone this particular portfolio, so that when you start editing it over here, you can easily commit all the changes you make here. But because I was doing this tutorial, that is why I started from the base or the backend, so to speak. But What I'm going to do now is to add the entire folder that I made over here. It's just a little bit workaround. It's not normally recommended, but what I'm going to do is to just bring this here. So I'm just copy and pasting everything. Or it's also better because you have to be calling the HTML directly from the root folder. It's better to rather copy paste this one instead of the main folder. So I will cancel this and then do it this way. So it got 72 files. Once everything is done, still loading. Yeah, it's a little bit of workaround, but ideally you would have put this first on your GitHub, then you clone it, then you edit directly with your IDE, and then once you make edit, then you just commit. You just write whatever you edited, and then you press commit, then you push it. I will just show it in a moment. So we have all our files here. We just commit changes. So now we have everything. Note that this is the most important thing that we should have in our root directory of the portfolio example, so that it is possible for the web to identify this HTML file and then display whatever content you have in there. Of course, also with your element file and then the generic file. So what I'm going to do now is to clone this particular thing that I have edited at this place. What should I do? Okay, let me first delete this. It will not delete because I think they are open somewhere. So I'll also close this. I will also close this. Okay, I still have some of these open somewhere. I think to be in a safer side, I will not delete. I will rather do this here. I'll rather clone it into this folder, and then you just have to, okay, you just have to say git clone, then I'll delete this undo things. So now I'm just cloning whatever we did. Why are we doing this? Because we just want to edit everything with an IDE, so that we can publish out every time real updates that we make instead of doing it on the web directly. So that is why I have to do this roundabout thing. So now we have everything we made here. What I'm going to do is to now open the folder. I'll open this example over here. So once you open the example, you have the same code. And then you can also use the preview. So everything, so let's edit this in a second. So this is this one. So you say a project. Artificial intelligence. You may also have to change this because it goes artificial intelligence and decision making, something like this. So you can see that this is very handy if you show the preview here. It also has this thing there. If you want, you can change it. If you don't want, you can also change it. This also doesn't make so much sense. So this is what I meant, that once you edit it here and you save, then you have you have a permission to commit these changes and then synchronize it with whatever is on your GitHub page. So once you, it's still synchronizing, but I can show you that if you click the index file, so you see that whatever I change here and just committed, it appears here. So it's very, very handy if you make it like this, so that anytime you undertake any project, and even if you have sent your CV to a lot of people, just use the same HTML file, make whatever update you want to make, go to commit, and then synchronize it on the web, and whoever accesses your same URL can see the updated information. So that is the basic trick in here. Also, I've talked about the images. If you have some images for each project that you want to show, for example, this particular one, you can update your image here and make sure that you are using the right image source. So we are now at a point where we have to just do a system settings for GitHub to be able to deploy this on the web. So like I said, again, make sure that your index.html is at the root. Of course, you can also put it in a folder, but then it becomes a little bit complicated trying to work on this template. Remember that you are just editing a template, so you have to make sure that you are following the same structure. So with here, you can go to the settings of this repo that you created. And once you go there, you can just navigate to pages. And I have already set my own to Fires, but maybe your own is different. You just have to know what branch your code is in. You can see over here that my own is in a branch called Fires. Definitely, if you are watching this video, I think you already know these kind of things with GitHub. So just declare your branch. If you have many branches, make sure that it is checking the main one. Like I said, if you have it in a folder, make sure you select the folder, but I have it in the root directory, so I don't need to change anything. And then you click on save. Once you click on save, like 30 seconds or 1 minute, you will already see your portfolio. So this is what we edited here, and it is going to have this particular URL. So if you have the same format, even what you just have to do is to change your repo name, and then you still be able to display whatever portfolio that you have made. So if this is becoming very difficult, just copy this, make sure that you are editing or replacing this with your own repo name. So this particular name, make sure that you are replacing it with that. And then your index.html is the same, so it's still going to deploy it. So if you spend some time understanding the structure and following the instructions that I have given, then it's very easy for you to make something like this that I made for my own. So the first project is always like this. You don't declare any section, you don't declare all articles under it. But with the second project, then you have to make sure that your article containers, the headers and the bodies are all falling under this section so that it follows in that order. If you have a lot of projects like I have, maybe 20 or 30, then you always have to make sure that you don't close this section. So for example, with this particular template, I think it got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you just have to copy. Just copy this. then you just paste it, and then you have the next one also with April 7, April 7. Then you just edit it because you are copying the same information, so you edit, and then you just do that until the end of the section. Make sure you are not pasting beneath this one, otherwise then you mess up the arrangement. And so you see that this in the show live here, this will not show on your main web URL. So make sure that if you make an edit, you just save, Control S, you come to this button, the source control, you just say maybe added a new project. Normally I don't waste time on it, I just put V and then I press commit, then I will synchronize. Once you synchronize from your local machine, that is it. You don't need to do anything else. You can see that still here, it still has the April 11, April 7. The April 7 is not duplicate, so you just have to wait a moment. You try to refresh until it gets to a time where it updates by itself. It always takes a moment, so don't worry if it takes time. Or you can even just copy this and open it in a new browser because it still has the cache. So yeah, so you have your next project also here. So you can continue to add until you satisfied. Make sure you are also editing this. Like I said, I'm not sure these ones work perfectly. I've not tried it. But the most important thing is that you also have your email, and then people can also just send you an email for queries or questions about your portfolio. So this is it. I hope that you'll be able to edit this. Like I said, you don't need to be a programmer to edit this. I've just shown you the basic structure of the HTML, CSS, and the Java, how the structure of this template works. You just need to update it with all your information on the paragraph containers, your headers, and then your source code. And then you make sure that if you are doing copy and paste, you take note of these ends and these openings. So I hope that you'll be able to manage it. If you have a question, you can always send me an email, or just it's also better to write your question in the comment section so that any answers that I provide, people can also see it if they have similar questions. I'll put all the source code and the link to the main website. If you want to try your hands on a different templates, you can also take a look at it. Thank you.